Good morning. Welcome to the March meeting of the Pitt County Department of Social Services. I'd like to welcome our board members, our management team, and all those who've joined us today here. Glad that you're here with us, and happy Social Services Month. We're glad that you chose to be here with us today for this meeting, and those of you viewing by television today, welcome as well. Why don't we begin our meeting as we always do with a moment of silent prayer or meditation, please. Thank you. You have at your seat a copy of today's agenda. Do I have any need to revise this agenda? Any additions?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Also in your place, you have a copy of the minutes from the previous meeting. May I have a motion to accept those, please?
I make a motion we accept those minutes.
I second it, Mr. Chairman.
Made and second. Any opposed? All right, so moved. Mr. Perry, if you'd like to give us an update on the status of our personnel, please.
At the present time, we have 26 vacant positions within Pitt County Department of Social Services. Of that, we have 23 positions that are frozen. We have 4 in the administrative division. We have 13 in income maintenance, 3 in child support, and 6 in the services unit. And one of those positions has been abolished. And of those 26 positions, we have 13 of these positions that are as a result of retirement. So of the 26, we got 50% of those are retirements. And you see the numbers that list them in priority, if we were able to fill any of those positions.
Is it true that half of the staff is vacant? Or am I reading this wrong?
It's true that we have 26 vacant positions within Pitt County, of the 234.
That's not half of it.
Oh, okay, all right.
No.
I'll give me a second. This is...
There's that many of them out here with us today. Otherwise, they're here on their day off.
What in the world? Okay, thank you.
I think what, just for clarification, I think what you meant was that half of the frozen positions or the vacant positions are due to retirement of individuals who were incumbent in those positions. Thank you, Mr. Perry. Any other questions or comments around personnel? All right. Thank you so much. Let me say also, welcome, since we're speaking of personnel. Every month we review the status of personnel in the Department of Social Services, and so we talk about you guys every month in some form or fashion, and boy, what a great thing to see the faces of those that we know are doing such great work for the people here in Pitt County. We so appreciate what you do every day for us and for the citizens. Thank you for being here with us today, and appreciate your attendance.
You tell them how concerned we are about the vacancies.
We are so concerned for them and for the work that they're doing. And I know that in an era of our need to be fiscally responsible and our budgeting, and that's why we now have folks here every time to make sure we don't spend money we don't have and all that. You hear about personnel changes and you hear about budget cuts and positions that are frozen for some period of time, and we realize that certainly means that you all are doing more work along the way as you're having to do more with less, and certainly do appreciate that, and so does the community that you're serving. Appreciate your hard work. We do have one matter that requires board action, and I think that Ms. Meekins is not here. Is Ms. Dixon presenting?
Yes.
Right. In your package on page 7 is the Pitt County Department of Social Services in-home aid services policy. Similar to having like child care, we had to develop a local policy. The state requires us to do that, so in your board package there are several items in the policy, one of which first bullet goes over the level 1 home management and level 2 home management and personal care aid services, and how we provide those through funding of the Social Services Block Grant, the state in-home services funds, and county money. Requires that all conditions and special eligibility requirements for each funding source would be applied to that. Although it states we do not, as an agency, provide that service directly, but as you know, we contract that out. And there'll be a little bit more about that later on in the agenda. that it requires us to maintain a waiting list, which we do, and that prospective clients on that waiting list will be contacted annually for the purpose of determining if they're still in need of that service. The agency will make clients aware of the opportunity to share in the cost of services in order to extend availability of service. We have a small number of clients that do contribute to that cost. I think in 2010-11, there was approximately $850 contributed, to the cost sharing. They are not penalized in any way if they decide not to do that. Any revenues collected or is reported in accordance with procedures set forth in the Division of Social Services Fiscal Manual. And then the last bullet being what the appeals process is for that. Any questions?
Yes. How much is a block grant normally each year?
I'll defer that to our fiscal person.
I think it's $301,000.
All right, how many people do we have participating in that particular one section?
Believe
are you
That's
serving?
not right. It's not that much. I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure that it's $301,000. That's the CAP program. 270 maybe is the right number for the home community care block grant. I don't know how many people.
And we will show you on Friday when we meet for the budget session how those funds are allocated.
And I would like to know how you put them there. What, in other words, are they women, men, families, and so forth?
It's individuals receiving those in-home services to be able to stay in their home.
How it's broken down pertaining to how many males, how many females, and things such as that.
Okay, we will have that.
All the
information
categories.
Friday for you.
You'll have that for us,
Friday.
okay?
You want to know the breakdown of male, female,
And the age of them at the same time.
I want to know everything you can.
Yeah,
clarify.
I think it's very important that we service many of these people and how many we have on the waiting list and so on down the line.
Okay.
One thing I was thinking about adding at the bottom, that if a client does not continue with services, is terminated, there's not much they can do. I was wondering if we could add a note in there that we will assist them in getting services and not just leave them without any services at all.
Sure. I have that.
Now, we're now talking about revising policy, correct?
we want to put one, a client may not continue receiving in-home aid services if the service is terminated or modified due to lack of funding. You want to put a statement in there that Department of Social Services will assist the client as far as possible in getting those services. If there are outside resources that
Right.
So how about information and referral to other community
That's
agencies
good.
and
That's
organizations?
good.
I think we need to be broad and intentionally vague about what that means, though. Obviously, if the services have been terminated, it's been with cause of some sort. So our obligation then to continue to provide services may or may not fit within the context of the very policy that we're enforcing. So I want to make sure we're careful not to mislead something here that you thought through and you intentionally put in a policy. So what we're saying here today fits in the context of that, or does it complicate the policy you've proposed?
Well, it's something we would normally do as a matter of course anyway. If somebody was terminated, we would certainly refer them to other agencies and organizations in town.
Okay.
Some
Part of
may-
your practice anyway.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion around the policy? All right, I will need a motion to approve this policy.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
I second it with the suggested change.
Motion to approve with the edits is noted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so approved. All right, thank you for that. Next, we have several reports to the board. And the first is regarding Social Work Month.
And Ms. Dixon will give a preview.
Well, it's sort of one big report.
Sounds
you
like
know.
one big happy
Here they
report.
are in the audience. But I thought it was important mostly what you hear about in terms of our social work staff is through reports that we make to the board and reports that you see in front of you during board meetings. But I felt it was really important for you to see who these folks are and hear about what they do for Social Work Month. I can honestly, of course, I'm a little biased, in my reporting here, but this is a group of really purpose-driven, very compassionate individuals who work across a wide range of areas in our agency to help the vulnerable in Pitt County. I see them every day coming in and out of this building in all kinds of weather, all kinds of conditions, and see that there's they believe that there's no limits to human potential, and they use their talents every single day to create better lives for families in Pitt County. In terms of the mission of what we do, the mission of social work is to enhance human well-being and help meet the basic needs of people, especially, again, those that are most vulnerable. The programs and services provided are essential elements of the safety net that we have in our county for our vulnerable citizens. Social workers make a critical impact in adolescence and youth development, family caregiving, child protection, and family services. Social workers seek to improve social functioning and social conditions for people in emotional, psychological, economic, and/or physical need. And social workers help people who are often navigating major life challenges and find hope and new options for achieving their maximum potential. We have a great staff, and I wanted you to hear a little bit about what each one area does, because it can get kind of confusing when you're just looking at a report. So first we have Mildred, who is going to talk about what she does and have her staff stand up and identify who they are.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I'm Mildred Daniels, Social Work Supervisor of the Adoption Placement Unit, and I would like to introduce the staff, but just to let you know what the unit does, we do foster home licensing, the monitoring, recruitment of foster homes. We work with adopted families. We also work with some of the children in child placement, which the old term is foster care. And I'd like for you to see the staff that help me do that. We do have one that's not with us today because he's in training, Mr. Kendrick Burton. Other staff members, if you'll please stand. Joy Boykin, Jennifer Morris, Jennifer Stroud, Debbie Owen, Chandra Mewborn, and Jennifer Fowler. And these are the members of the Adoption Placement Unit. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you.
I applaud.
Next we have Jane Dawson, and Jane is a member of our in-home services, and she and Linda, hey Linda, Peter and Tammy are both the supervisors, and they are in training today, so they have agreed to take their place and do this job.
Good afternoon to the board and to our colleagues. We are here to give you a brief introduction of our in-home services program. And basically what we do is we take those cases that have been referred for ongoing treatment from our assessment team, and we work with those families to resolve the issues of maltreatment and risk while keeping the children in the home or with relatives. We do this by helping the families access and networking them with community resources so that they can resolve those issues and reduce or minimize the risk to their children and maintain that family unit. Now Ms. Capehart is going to introduce those members of our team.
The members of the CPS in-home services, please stand so I can introduce you. They are Tanya Tucker Dawson, Wanda Phillips, Colleen Anderson, Retha Albritton, Sharon Jones, Cora Killebrew, Sarah Newton. Jeremy Hill is not here. He has an appointment. Thank you.
Was that the committee the new one that was formed involving the foster care?
Good afternoon. I'm Tamitha Brady, and I am one of the 3 supervisors who supervise the Child Protective Services intake assessment and on-call function. The other 2 supervisors are Cheryl Tilley and Daphne Burden, and together we make up the 3 units, and we are responsible for receiving and screening and assigning all of the CPS reports that come into our agency. Our team completes those assessments and ensures child safety and works together with the families to link them with community resources. And we also complete conflict of interest cases for other county DSSs, and we complete courtesy requests from other county DSSs as well as DSSs across the state for all of the states. So I would like to introduce you to our team and our 2 intake social workers. If they would stand, is Denise Moore Jones and Deborah Green Blair. And then we have Sean Kenny, Leslie Parker, Sophia Ellis, Tracy Morgan, Crystal Days, Ginger Gower, Crystal Teachy, Nellie Kinsey, McKenna Whitley, Amy Hardy. Those are the ones that they are our assessors. They complete the assessments that come in. And then our 2 on-call social workers are Brenda Braxton and Keisha Adams. And on behalf of our team, we would like to thank you for the opportunity to come and meet with you today and let you put faces to the names around here. Thank you.
Niagara.
She's over there.
Good afternoon. I'm Niagara Parker. I'm the Workforce Employment Services and Emergency Assistance Supervisor. So I'm supervising 2 programs. I actually have 4 workers who do workforce employment, and that involves working with all of the parent-child workforce cases, excuse me, to help them to become self-sufficient again. And I also supervise 4 emergency assistance workers, and they're in charge of administering the funds that have been provided through the Department of Social Services to assist our Pitt County residents with emergency needs such as rent, utilities, and those type of things. So I would like for my wonderful staff to stand, if you would please, so I can introduce you. We have Miss Marie Farrar. We have Miss Teresa Fleming. We have also with emergency assistance Miss Natalie Hobbs and Miss Barbara Jones are our emergency social workers. For our workforce employment, we have Miss Deirdre Hill, we have Miss Heather Roughton, and we have Miss Jenny Suggs. And we have a new worker, Miss Christy Adams, that was not here today. She had to go to court. But we do appreciate the recognition.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathy Parker, and I work with the child care team. I'm in charge of child care, and I have a wonderful group. And what we do is we help clients pay their child care bill. We're subsidized, we determine the eligibility, and we work with enrolling child care providers in our program. And if my staff would stand. Okay, and this is our team. We have Madeline Hudson, Evelyn Braddock, Glenda Nobles, Alva Peel, and Jara Brock, our student intern. And then we have one other staff member that's seeing a client now, Miss Dale Garris. And I want to thank you for all y'all do to fight for us and help us.
I'm Linda Million. I'm one of the adult services supervisors. I have 3 different programs that I supervise. First is adult protective services, where we evaluate the need for protective services for elderly or disabled that have been alleged to be abused, neglected, or exploited. I'm going to introduce those staff first. Cynthia Ross, Carla Pagoda, Cindy Asbell. Karen Imhoff is our intake worker. She's downstairs taking phone calls. And Shannon Carter, but she's in training today. I also supervise the adult home specialists. They are the girls that have to go out and monitor the assisted living facilities and the family care homes in our county, which is about 19 of those right now, for compliance with state regulations. And that is very important in protecting those residents in the facilities. Tammy Corbett and Retta O'Quinn, she's not here today, she's in training. They're responsible for all the monitoring of those facilities. And last, we have guardianship. April Hanning is our social worker who handles the case management for all the wards that Mr. Perry is guardian of. Most of those are in facilities. Some of them live at home, which can be very demanding in a job trying to coordinate services for these adults that depend on us for everything. We also have them in several counties requiring travel, so it takes a lot of time for her to handle all those cases. Thank you.
All right.
Good afternoon. I'm Sharon Edwards, and I'm going to fill in for a couple of people today. In Peter Sawyer's unit, we neglected to recognize Ann Davis, who's an MSW intern. Ann would stand. Thank you. And I'm also standing instead of Paula Meekins, who's the other adult services supervisor. She's out today. In Paula's unit, the programs include in-home services for the elderly and disabled citizens of Pitt County. Their goal is to help people age in place, age at home, which is where most people would rather be than in a facility or an institution. Within that unit, there's a Community Alternatives Program, CAP, better known as CAP, Special Assistance in-home services, and respite. And if those social workers will stand, we have Tom Swindell, Susan Schwinn, Sonia Holly, Victor Banfield is out, and Gail Haddock is out at training. Thank you. And now my unit is the Prevention Services Unit, which is the newest division, part of the Services Division. In my unit, our goal is to help people to work on the crisis before it happens. We're trying to prevent a crisis, prevent adult protective services, child protective services, placement from coming into play. So we look to help stabilize families, to help them work on goals that they have, and to make them stable citizens to help their own families. Within my unit, we have HPRP, which is a grant that Pitt County DSS administers, homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing, prevention for families with children, SOAR, which is SSI, SSDI, outreach, access, and recovery, at-risk case management, Medicaid transportation, and enhanced care. So my social workers, please stand. We have Violet Collins, Summer Sinclair, Priscilla James Ward, Joyce Whitaker, and out today, Bonjero Jacobs, Charity Moore, and Kendra Norval are trainings. Thank you so much for having us and for recognizing the social workers for all the work that they do. Anne?
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Weaver, and I'm one of the child placement supervisors. The other one is Susan Bullock, and she couldn't be with us today. What we do is we place children in Pitt County foster homes, therapeutic foster homes, group homes, and residential treatment facilities of the children that are in our custody. We also work really hard at trying to reunify families where the children have been taken from their homes and finding other permanent placements for them. I'd like the child placement units to stand. We have Shantae Carson, who's our links coordinator. She works with teenagers. We have Phyllis Holmes, who's in Susan Bullock's unit. Aaron Cox is not here, and Kelly Young cannot be here either. And in my unit, we have Tim Grigg, and we have Kelly Clay and Amy Rigg. And Nikki Mears could not be here today. She's out in the field. But thank you for everything that you do for our foster kids.
And I wanted to recognize three people, two very important people that keep us all going every day and key in that stuff that makes all that data for the county and brings our money down. And I mean, I don't know where we would be without their support. And that's Miter Nelson and Angie May. And also I'd like to recognize another very important person that really keeps us moving along, Nikki Walker. She's our CPS attorney. And thanks for all of you. So there you have it.
And when you look at these individuals, it more than when you watch TV and you see child abuse, you always see the social workers coming in, removing the child out of the home. But when you look at the different arrangement that we have within a Department of Social Services, more than just removing the child. We work towards trying to keep the child in the home, and our last thing is to remove a child from the home. So we go through a process of removing the child. It's not that we interested in just taking the child out of the home. We want that child to stay in the family unit, stay with relatives, stay in a familiar surrounding. So our last result is when we have to remove a child. So it goes through a process to get to that point. And we have our parent partners that work with these individuals to help them keep their child in the home. So we have other things going on as well. So we just want you to get a feel for what social workers do within a Department of Social Services. And when a social worker come into this agency, they had a lot of different areas that they can work in to get experience. Some prefer to work with the elderly population. Some prefer to work with children. But, you know, in the Department of Social Services, there's always a place for someone that's interested in working with families or the older population.
You know, there's no doubt about the fact that, I mean, what we do here is about the community. It's about the social welfare of a community. And your mission statement mentions that you use words like enhance the well-being, helping vulnerable. I guess you could simplify that and just say people need help sometimes. And some people need a lot of help. And some people count on us, are completely dependent upon the community's help. And certainly at some point in all of our lives we were going to need someone else, right? That's the case for so many people every day, that they need someone else. And the truth of the matter is there are thousands of people that aren't just numbers that we will look at here. There are people attached to each one of those numbers that we're helping. And for all of Pitt County and those who are watching today, the reality is these are the folks, these are the hands that allow us to reach so much of the community. And we certainly do appreciate that, recognize you today, and thank you for doing a really hard job of making sure that we're able to take care of the community.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to ask some questions, but we didn't have an opportunity, of course, but could we have each one of these people, one to come at each meeting, say, give them 3 to 5 minutes, something like that, so we would understand, so that I, in the county, would understand where the help is needed, most crucial,
sure,
and for them to kind of be able to answer some questions pertaining to farther than what. I think it was very good that they came to the time to do that, but I'm not talking about getting up here and spending 30 minutes. I'm talking they can do a great deal in 5 minutes as to what can.
Well, I certainly think a live report has a much bigger impact than looking at a piece of paper. So I
think it's wonderful.
It's a great idea.
If that's fine, I'm not
see what happens if you show up. Now you have to keep showing up.
No, I want to know more about what you do, and I think the county commissioners would like to know more. We would better understand what you're doing, And we don't want you to come up here and look at a pretty face. We want to take it be able to.
Like Mr. James.
Not me. Don't buy that, but I really think it would be, I think we all would benefit.
We can do
if
that.
we are familiar more with.
Absolutely. We'll make those arrangements. I think it's important.
Yeah, I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about going out here 30 minutes, so I know we don't have that kind of time.
We
but-
can highlight the different units.
And each
their
one of these,
roles
will
and
give them an
responsibilities.
opportunity, and then the people will really see who
Yeah.
we have too. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Sure, absolutely. Any other comments from the board?
It's like a realization, because we see all the vacancies, and we talk about the concern that we have that stresses the staff when the vacancy occurred and is not refilled. And just to sit here and look at you and know that you're going through covering someone else's job that's not here anymore because of retirement, I am just delighted to see the group of you. And this is like putting faces in places that we need to see, and that's you. Thank you.
For myself, I really appreciate your work because I know you all work very hard. I often do reports that various people read, and one person in particular reads fairly frequently and gives me a tremendous amount of support. So I really do appreciate all the work that you're doing. I know it's some very hard, very difficult work, and you're going through a very difficult period right now because you're doing at least one or two jobs, and I really want to say I really appreciate that, and thank you very much.
My comment would be that it also puts your face, and all the families that you deal with, they see you, and sometimes they don't know this interlink of how it works. We seem like a group of people distant, and I like Eugene's idea, and I like having people to make the presentations, because thanks to the medium of TV, and people do watch that, then they also see you fighting for them and their needs and carrying their needs forward. I think that's important, that they make that connection.
And also, next Wednesday, March the 21st, we will have a presentation. We'll have the Children's Home Society will be here to update us on Family Find. We will have One Church, One Child, St. James United Church come to talk about the One Church, One Child uniform project that they're working. And then we'll also have highlights of our individuals that went to California. So we have different things going on, and we want to invite you to come to that meeting as well.
Is that in our packet?
Now I'm passing it out right now.
Will be in 10 minutes.
So, and next month is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we will have some things going on, Kid Fest and different things where we'll be out in the community. So we will try to get that information to you as well, and we will hope that you can make this meeting on the 21st. Also, we had 2 proclamations done in honor of the Social Work Month. We had one done by the county commissioners that was done Monday, and we had one from the city council as well. So we just want to know that.
Mr. Chairman, this Children's Home Society is a big issue with the state when I go to the region, the statewide meeting, so it would be good for you all to hear that a little up close about it, because we put a lot into it.
All right, again, that's Wednesday, March 21st.
Yes.
9 o'clock.
Light
Here.
breakfast here.
Okay. Great. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. We really do appreciate it. On behalf of the rest of the county, say thank you again for what great work you do and making a difference in others' lives. Thank you so much. We also have a report today regarding in-home services, and I think that Ms. Dixon, you'll be giving that report as well.
It's my day, isn't it?
It's your day today, that's right.
It's your day.
So look at them leave, it's like the mandatory meeting is now over.
Even really quick. I guess they gotta get back to work.
They gotta get back.
That's right. Really, it's,
I'd like to thank you for, I'm really impressed. I really appreciate that. That's good thought that you show.
It's not really actually a report to the board, but just to give you a heads up that our advertisement is in the newspaper. It came out Sunday. It'll run all week. It's a yearly thing that we do to advertise for bids for the in-home services. So that means that next month we will be opening those bids during the board meeting. So just wanted to make you aware of that.
Because sometimes they don't feel like
Okay. And Ms. Burns, talk to us about the LEAP program.
Yes. The Low Income Energy Assistance Program, the LEAP program, has ended here at the agency. The program existed as long as we had funding. We exhausted all funds for the program last Wednesday, March the 7th. We took our last application. But I wanted to update the board on some of the points about the program and give you some numbers on the folks that we serve. The total funding for the program this year was $391,400. We approved 1,777 applications were approved. There were 252 applications denied. This year, remember the payments that were made from the program for heating assistance was made directly to the vendors. Those payments were made in the amounts of $200 or $400 based on the heating source that the persons were using. So we've ended our program and looking forward to next year.
All right, any comments from Ms. Burns?
It's been all done.
It's all gone.
All gone.
Well, the good news is we were able to help people in the process of doing that, so thank you all for distributing that and making sure we manage that process appropriately. Next, we have our director's report.
In the director's report, you will see North Carolina Association of the County Department of Directors of Social Service position regarding Senate Bill 433, this on Local Human Services Administration. That bill might come up in the April 23rd meeting, so we just want you to have that information, as well as a letter to Mr. Kenneth Edge, President of the County Commissioners Association. We are in direct, I guess you'd say, opposition to this Senate bill. The county commissioners are in favor of, but the board of Social Services Board, the board of directors, and the NCSSA are in opposition to this board. So we don't know which way that this bill would go, but this is just information for you to be aware that is not over. So it still could come up in April, in their April meeting. So we just want you to be aware of that still out there. And on the
how would that affect us?
What will happen if this bill passed? We could consolidate the health department and social services into one organization. It would do away with the board of social services, do away with the health department board. It would put the supervision of the agency under the county manager. It would remove us from under the Office of State Personnel. So those are some of the issues and concerns that the Directors Association have. You know, when you look at the services component, sometimes they have to deal with difficult cases, you know, abuse, neglect, exploitation. In a larger county, we do not have that problem that a smaller county might have with everyone knowing everyone. And if you have to make a decision on a case and it might impact a commissioner or someone that's influential in the county, then you might, as a director or health department, you might be put in that awkward position in making that decision. So they're saying that it's best if it stays from under the county manager. The system that we have in place is working. We have a board of social services that the director is accountable for 2. So we're saying that when you look at the different responsibilities that the director have, that the social workers have, then we're saying that it's in the best interest of the county to leave it alone, let it stay on the Office of State Personnel. But this is an issue that is not going away. We just want you to be aware of.
It's come up ever since you all have sent me out west to serve the representative board. And when I went to the convention or the annual meeting, I talked with some social workers and some residents who have the system, like Wake County and Mecklenburg. And the residents seem to think that the county commissioners are not doing the best job as far as addressing the need of the constituents they serve because of some of the decisions. The last things funded are the social programs, and when they have to cut, this is where all the cutting normally take place. And I became very concerned on one resident who were talking about a situation. So it's really a serious matter. And I told them about, in Pitt County, when we had a mental service unit, I thought it was excellent. We didn't have as many people walking the street. You didn't have people going irate up and down Greenville when we had mental health. And if it's not broke, we shouldn't be trying to fix something. And they fixed the mental health, and we've been fixed out of a good service that we had in this county. And I really wouldn't want to see that happen here in Pitt County. And if you know any influential people throughout the state, and the county commissioners are pushing for it. So I suggest that we at least not support that.
Melanie, have we talked about that any? I don't remember even hearing a word about it.
It's been going on now about a couple of years.
But I think that depends upon the local board. If you got a weak board, then you got nothing. If you got a strong board, you can't beat it. But if you got a board that ain't going to do anything, then that's where you're going to have problems. I don't believe personally that you can get a better outfit than what we got here, because we're not afraid to ask questions.
I don't think it's going to be a local decision.
I
think it's going to come from the state down.
Strictly, I know that was state. We fought that and tried to get it.
As I understand it, just for clarity, on this particular issue, if the state were to make a decision about that, it does not necessarily imply that the local boards change. That is still under the direction of the commissioners and this board at the local level. Is that how that works?
It would not be under this board. It would be up to the local commissioners to make that choice.
As I understand it, our current status is that the county commissioners have not been in favor, I think informally at least.
Yeah, we haven't brought it up because until the law is effective, is adopted, there's not a role for us. But it is county choice, so if the law were in place, then the county could decide to merge the two, create a new board, or leave it as is. But at this point in time, it's somewhat moot because it hasn't made its way out of Raleigh to be law yet. And that's why you haven't heard it, Mr. James.
Yeah.
I think when I was at that meeting also, I think there was a concern with collapsing of services and bringing them together. And from what I heard, the residents were concerned about it, as well as the fact that the employees of Department of Social Services would be moved out of the State Department of Personnel, and they would lose a lot of protection, a lot of other things. I'm not sure if the pension benefits would be affected, but those are some things that would be very concerning, especially since we're trying to recruit people. And the third thing from my standpoint is that when you're collapsing services like that, you often lose that individual touch and that individual focus of certain kinds of things. such as perhaps what we did today, might be very difficult to do under that same system.
And if you go to the Board of Social Service, the Board of Social Services website, they have information up there about Senate Bill 433 that you can get to as well.
So, okay, thank you for that information. At this point, the board is not taking an action or rendering an opinion one way or the other, but just it's informational for the...
It's just for information that you might hear someone talking about it and just want you to be aware that it's still out there.
Thank you.
And then you got a SNAP advertisement that's going on from March the 1st to June, just making people aware of the food stamp program, that they can come in, how they can go about applying. And we got the Title IV Adoption Assistance and Social Services Block Grant Monitoring that will begin next week. And on the newspaper article, Help for the Hopeless, it's just, we were involved in doing LEAB, Food and Nutritional Service, and Medicaid, so we were involved in that process as well, working with individuals that came in for assistance during that time. And we were able to take applications for the different programs there. And we got Adult Protective Services survey that was completed in your packet. And our next board meeting is in April the 9th, I think. April the 9th will be our next DSS board meeting.
All right.
I think I covered everything. Did I leave anything?
I think you did. Well, let me say before we go into closed session, thank you to the management team. Thank you guys for thinking of your staff and building morale and recognizing them and taking an opportunity to do so for the public to see. I think it's incredibly important, and I think Mr. James is right. We should do more of that to help maintain both the morale, but also, you know, it's a good thing for them to see how we and others are working on their behalf to try to make sure that we can continue to deliver those services and that we appreciate what they do. It's a fantastic way to do that. So thank you for being good leaders and wanting to do that. We do need to go into closed session. Before I do, any other comments from the board? All right, we do need to have a matter to take into closed session.
I move we go into closed session, Mr. Chairman.
A motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Take us into closed session.
North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 regarding closed sessions. Section A, permitted purposes, is the policy of this state that closed sessions shall be held only when required to permit a public body to act in the public interest as permitted in this section. A public body may hold a closed session and exclude the public only when a closed session is required. Also, item number 1, to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of the state or the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes.
Thank you so much. The board now stands in closed session.